Hello. I'm going to discuss mostly, probably go over most of Tracy's questions. But yeah, thought the reading was pretty interesting. Um, I thought that, I usually, when you think of science, at least when I think of science and the history of science, I never really thought about like witchcraft and spiritual stuff like that. I always just kind of thought of the materialistic, the cold hard evidence, the in the lab, working with beakers and stuff like that. I never really studied the history of science. So when I think of science, like the history of science, I kind of just think of like Benjamin Franklin or some other inventors that maybe started or invented some kind of like like I said, like hard concrete, something that we use today, like physical features, not more of like the spiritual stuff. But I mean, that was interesting to read about that too, as well, and learn about that. Um, about culture that has culture has impact on science, and at first thinking about it, I didn't really think about different sciences or different cultures, but then after thinking about it for a little bit, um, culture totally has impact on what we study and what we what we study and what we focus on. Like um, for example, the America, like how we're so prevalent in sports now. We love sports and we're into this extreme sports and all this stuff. So now we have, and on ESPN they have a thing called sports science, and they study you know the velocity of how fast a ball is thrown, or you know the trajectory of how far the ball will go if hit at this mile an hour, and the science that goes into it is just crazy. And you never, a couple decades ago, you never would have thought that we would have been studying sports and doing science on sports, let alone stuff like that. It's crazy. But also, like, if every sickness, like if a culture has one certain kind of sickness, or like a polio or something like that, they're gonna focus most of their energy and their funding and their time on figuring out why we have this disease, how can we cure this disease, and it's pretty much just relevant of the situation in each culture, and whatever is happening at that current time is probably where they're going to spend most of their time and energy in the field of science. Also, I thought, I mean, science to me is more also it's a common ground for all cultures. I mean, different cultures will study and focus on different aspects, like I said, determining the time and position that they are in. But it's also like it's a common ground for each culture to. It's something that everyone can do with it doesn't matter what language or what kind of utilities and facilities you have. Everyone can learn science, and it's kind of it's on a broad scale and something that we can relate to other cultures and like I think about the race to the moon back in the 70s. That was everyone, almost all the countries. I know us in Russia, it was a big race, but we are spending all of our funding for science and all of our money into one pot to make it to the moon first, and that's where all of our studying was going. And same with Russia too. I mean, it's like we're two different cultures, probably doing it two different ways, but looking for that same ending and looking for that same finished product. And I mean, yes, because of the culture difference, we might have been doing it separate ways, and we might have been doing it differently. But at the end of the day, it's still we're going for the same goal, and at the same day, we're still practicing science and going for that same goal, get to the moon. So that's what I think about the culture and science, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. So thank you.